Overstated is the word to describe our conversation for today. In the workplace, there's a lot of menace that goes on, from toxic work culture and so many other things we are trying to trash out on today's episode of the Tale Hub. My name is Faye. Guys, today we are talking on equal pay practices and micromanagement in the workplace. We go on a quick break, and when we return, we get to meet our guest and the conversation kickstarts. See you right after this.
The Tale Hub is proudly sponsored by Urban Fleet app, a platform where you can rent, list, and make good revenue on your vehicles.
All right, joining me today on today's conversation is, we have two people, by the way, and before this production started, guys, we have already delved into the conversation for today, so I'm super elated. I have to say that again. Joining me to my right-hand side is Dr. K. She is an HR generalist, an e-commerce practitioner. I mean, I went through her profile and I have been honored. And joining me to my, is this my left or my right? Right. Joining me to my left is Daniel. Daniel is a PP. PP, not the other type of PP, but PP meaning people operations manager. People operations manager. Right now, I think having these two people come on the set today is just a fantastic way to really dive into the conversation. As I mentioned earlier, it is on equal pay practices and micromanagement. Nice to have you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
I know before we started this conversation, we were making noise. So what's going on right now? Are we taking a chill pill till we go really hard?
Well, maybe.
Probably because we are talking about very serious points here, which...
I mean, YOLO, man. We can't be so hard.
Yeah, of course, yes. Yeah. But these are one of the major things that affect people around, and also in Nigeria especially. Mm-hmm. So it's one big nut to crack, I guess.
Yeah, so, I was talking to Dr. K earlier, and I said one thing that I really want to talk about is, so you're on this job platforms, and there are these ads and they say, oh, this and so job opening, salary attractive. Why? Is that a trick to lure people? Because I can make a decision on the go. If I say 50K, I know this is not within my range, so I wouldn't even go for the interview. So why do people keep putting that up?
So we have had this conversation like a couple of times in special forums. Yeah. And so it's really sad. People just wake up one morning and they think they can do customer service because it has to do with talking to people. Mm-hmm. And you feel you can talk to people, make them smile, and that's customer service. That's basic. Yeah. Every staff is a customer service practitioner by virtue of the fact that customer pays your bills somehow. Mm-hmm. Right. So you can't wake up one morning and think that you want to be an HR practitioner. HR is not admin role. It's not an admin role. So they're different things. They have we have analytics, we have core strength in learning and development, people management, business partnering. It's no longer the God factor HR. Mm-hmm. So people just think, we have to hire a staff now, we need this to get done. Everybody running up and down. So you have to go out of your way to find people, however, and the country is hard for that. People need jobs. So you're scrolling down and you find that the assumption is, salary attractive. That's what you want to hear. That is what people want to hear. Now, the truth is, before you roll out under recruitment and selection, before you wake up and say you want to hire someone, is from a management level. Mm-hmm. You must have thought about it. What is the career pathing? What is projection? Why do you need people? Yeah. So it's from conversation. Maybe you want to expand the business. You're moving to a new region. Mm-hmm. Something must have prompted hiring a new staff. Mm-hmm. Is it the exit of another staff? Mm-hmm. So before then, conversations would have happened, and then the HR manager is aware, after which he passes it. So the next question is, before that, what are the job details? Do you understand? Yeah. Job details, of course, will entail what the requirements are, what the expectations are, what is a salary benchmark for that particular role. Exactly. Even as HR practitioners, we have, for different kind of roles, from entry level to director level, we have different pay bands, right? So you can't wake up one morning and say salary is attractive. I keep saying it. If you know that this job has a salary band, we've put it there. Yeah. So when you see it and you know that this is below my pay grade, I don't go for it or waste your time. time. So I don't understand or know who taught these guys how to go about it, but it's not the best practice. And that's why I became an HR. There are a lot of people who really hate me in the HR space because I say it, but I will say it. It is a terrible practice. When people go to the interview, same way, somebody's asking you for your pay slip. I was on Twitter 2 days ago and somebody said, don't ask me for my pay slip. I'm not asking for a loan, I'm asking for a job. You don't ask people pay slip because
been asked.
You have a benchmark for the salary you plan to pay for this role. So based on what they are earning, they feel that they can up to that level.
Sure.
Do you think their strength worth that pay?
Yeah.
Yes. If they do, pay them.
Then pay.
It's simple. There's no much, too much conversation around this, but it's just a terrible HR practice which needs to be stopped now.
True. You mentioned HR, but sometimes I feel like the HR person is also caught in the middle because then you're probably offering this advice and the person at the top is saying, no, I don't want to practice it.
Yes.
Okay. Such things also happen. So, Daniel, what would you have to say about
So what it is as a HR person, I think that's where micromanagement will also come in, where you have to do your own practice as a human resource person, consult, which you're also being told to also advise the company on what is best in the HR field. But when you have a manager, should I say a leader, who feels based on what is being said.
That's not a leader, by the way.
That's the leader.
That's a boss. That's not a leader. For starters,
Exactly.
that's not a leader.
And they keep
that's a boss.
using that tone that you must do, controlling, that you must do exactly what they want, which is not actually even HR practice. That becomes an issue. It comes even with the same idea of when you're putting on the salary there that is being attractive. What makes you think is attractive? What might be attractive to A might not be attractive to me.
The same way you say something is affordable to you can be very expensive to another person.
Exactly.
Now this is where I see this actually, to buttress what Daniel has said. An HR person is not a figurehead. Your job is to have two customers, internal customers. The staff, the people are your customers, and the management are your customers. Your job is to sit in between. Now, HR role, I still keep saying this, it's no longer the God factor HR you see. An HR person walks down the hall, everybody's running helter-skelter. That's how we learned it when we're growing up.
Yeah.
It's no longer that way. HR has advanced to business partners. We are now business partners because we need to be involved in day-to-day management. That's what we now call it, people operations. That way you understand what the needs are. You can start doing your career pathing. You can start knowing, okay, who should shadow who. Start making practice as per, performance management and all of that. Now the question is, some HR guys are quite lethargic. Everybody just feel, I want to save my job. I'm a family man.
So let's do what they want.
Your job is to stand your ground because you know this job. So let's say, for instance, a boss, typically Nigerian founders, they just come and wake up and say, we want this. It's your job as a professional to say, I hear you. But best practices, this is how it is done. I will advise. And interestingly, as an HR person, we also call something alliances. You should understand within the management forum who you should form alliances with by virtue of product knowledge, by virtue of experience in the workspace, by virtue of how long they have stayed on this job and in this business. So you form kind of alliances so that while you're talking, one or two people should have your backing. That way, it becomes easy. Your core job is to advise the management to steer them in the right direction.
Of course.
Especially as it has to do with people. So if you can't do that, you're afraid for starters.
Wow. Things are getting pretty heated up right here. We will go on another break, and when we return, definitely more to come. Keep it locked.
Find great choices of automotives on the Urban Fleet app. Get it on your Google Play Store and iOS stores, or visit www.urbanfleet.biz.
All right, still talking on equal pay practices and micromanagement in the workplace, and definitely still joined by Dr. K and Daniel. Second question right now. The process of trying to employ a new staff, and you hear employers say, no, it's fine, a benefit, and they say, we'll be offering you HMO. And I know that HMO isn't a benefit, it's basic. So what are the benefits that you expect an employer to give to an employee? Right. So who goes?
So then I think
some of the benefits that most employees definitely...
First off is HMO a benefit?
HMO is not. It's definitely not. It's like saying people should go die for nothing. It's like saying you don't care about the employees. One of the major reasons why you're there as a HR person is to ensure the well-being of employees are taken into consideration, because it's very important. And you're saying your employees are the persons that drive the money for you, that bring in the income for you, that also do most of the work for you. Then you should also realize that there are certain things that should be made available for them. So you won't term that as a benefit. Anything that comes with when they work, maybe, for example, promotion, you can term that a benefit, because yes, they are doing something and you know they deserve it, and you give it to them. But it's not a matter of them deserving HMO. They're supposed to have it from the beginning, before they start. Since you care for their well-being, it should be the first thing in place before you even recruit. So, but most organizations do not even have them in place. Like, it's almost taken for granted. I'm working, there's no HMO. Then you reduce the salary, then you tell me the HMO is additional to the salary because I'm coming in to work for you. But that's not fair.
So this is how I see it, and I'm quite extreme in my ideas, because it bothers me a lot how we treat people. It's okay for you to not care about people in your family, but this is a business. If you're not ready, don't start.
Yeah, that's
number one. Now, these are the same set of people who go to England and they are very compliant. You can't go to England without having your NHIS sorted. Go and ask all the people doing JAPA at the moment. You can't do it, because the truth is, everybody who comes to your place to work must have safety. How do you ensure that their lives are not at risk? Whether you think your workload is not so much, there are different hazards that come on the job. I mean, Daniel and I have worked somewhere together before, and then we practically started a building from scratch, design. We knew what we went through. Even sometimes we used to get home late, like past 12 in the midnight.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? But so the question is, how do you ensure their safety? So the HMO is statutory.
That's the word.
It's not, it's gone past normal or basic. It is statutory. This is part of the things that shows to someone who's coming that I care about you. I want to ensure that you're safe whilst you work here at so and so. You don't just wake up in the middle of the night and say you want to start a business because Holy Spirit ministered to you. If you're not ready, it's not enough to go and have CAC documentation and say you're starting a business. Fola, that is not how to run. You need to consider the people. I tell you what, a lot of employers, founders, they think they just want to wake up one morning and demand loyalty from people. How
do you earn that loyalty?
You earn loyalty. It's just like with children. When you look after children, you take care of their needs. You go all out when they're sick. You're there by their side. That's why you see that children love their mother. It's not like they love their mother so much. Children are connected to them because they care more. So see this from this light. If you care about people, they will naturally be drawn to you. It's just a no-brainer. Now, you're not doing them a favor. If you're talking about benefits, there are companies who give people lunch every day. So if you're being paid and you know that you get to work, you're going to get a very nice meal for lunch, you will do your job very well. There are companies that I know of that allow their staff to do side gigs, like if, for instance, you are, I've experienced that before. I'm a makeup artist. I learned that way back. I'm also a nose. I know how to test perfumes. So whenever we have events, my MD then will send me to the marketing team and say, whatever makeup job should go to Bonzi. It was simple. Guess what? I'll tell you for a fact. How much was I earning there? 80,000 naira.
But the fact that I was flexible.
But I had the chance to move around all departments. Whenever they ask us to sleep back, I get 15,000 from my hotel. Even if I'm going to sleep somewhere, I get lunch. I get some gigs here and there on the job. It's not like I'm hiding to do these jobs. So it gives me a renewed zeal to go to work daily.
It's not the typical, like you wake up in the morning and saying, oh my God,
and you remember the job.
Exactly. Now,
the stress of it.
Let's even talk about the HMO. You will see people who are offering people HMO and they say it's only for you. They can't take care of your spouse. They can't take care of at least 2 kids. And you call that HMO. Some people even find it hard to pay for a full year HMO. You're just only arming yourself, because this is what happens logically. So someone falls ill. Everybody has like 5 days, sick leave a year, depending on the companies.
Yeah.
So someone is sick because they can't take care of themselves while on the job. So they go off work. And imagine that this person is a very vital person on
to
a
the company.
team. Because they can't take care of themselves in real time, they have to start looking for money, looking for family members to help them. They miss on the job. Your job suffers. Team members who depend on them suffer. The business suffers. Customers suffer. Revenue suffers. At the end of the day, you start to owe salaries. Come on, why would you not look at the business before you get stuff done? So you're not doing anybody a favor. There are some companies who will even allow their staff for trainings and travel. I was consulting for someone recently, and the person was saying, I'm just trying to help these people with training. I said, you're not helping them with the training. That's why these guys cannot pay consultants like us, because we will tell you the truth. And the truth is, if you train a staff now, yes, it is their knowledge. But the first place they will use this is on your job.
Yeah.
If they use this on your job, 1, 2, 3 people are watching and learning. And once they learn,
they'll pick it up.
They pick it up, it becomes theirs. They are still using it on your job. When customers call you back and say, oh, I'm very grateful for this stuff that you have, it's a good brand name that you have just protected. And people don't understand what employer identity is, really. It's sad.
Wow. Okay, Daniel. I'm going to ask this question, but we'll ask and then we'll think about it and we'll go on a break. Micromanagement, definitely. Still in the employment process. You see a job ad and the person says, we're looking for an HR practitioner. Must be knowledgeable in social media. Must be knowledgeable in digital marketing. Must be knowledgeable in this and that. And for instance, I mean, every typical youth just wants a job, just wants something that'll put food on their table. You go in and you get that job.
Shege is everywhere now.
And you enter, and there's micromanagement. Still wanting you to do so much. Like, it's for me, it gets really confusing, because you should have one thing like you focus on. But when you're doing this and you're saying, okay, try this, be the Twitter uploader, be the Instagram uploader, be this thing uploader. How does that work? Definitely, we need to go on a break. I'm angry. We go on a break, guys, and when we return, conversation continues. See you soon.
The Tale Hub is proudly sponsored by Urban Fleet App, a platform where you can rent, list, and make good revenue on your vehicles.
This is still the Tale Hub, proudly sponsored by the Urban Fleet app. Now, I asked the question before we went on that break. Micromanagement. So you get a job and different roles. So you are the HR, or let's say you are the OAP, and then they say do social media uploads, or they say do Twitter management, that kind of thing. How does that work? Micromanagement in the workplace.
So there's just one word to describe this is wickedness. There's no 2 words to describe this. So even under digital marketing, for instance, I've heard this a number of times. For every aspect under digital marketing, maybe social media management, SEO, content writing, research, there are people who specialize in each of them. A digital marketer can be good at everything.
Copywriting, for instance.
Copywriting. You can be good, or blog posting. You can be good at everything. Even under, before we just used to call it social media, management. Then later you see that there's also social media marketing, still under this. So every job has its function and should be done by one individual. But because we have some HR guys who are not seasoned, who did not go to school, who are not learned. I can say this with confidence. I have a PhD in human resource management for LA. I went through a lot to get it done, because I believe that you have to be knowledgeable in a field before you can talk about it.
Yes, exactly.
Before you can educate people on it. But somebody just wakes up, maybe, for instance, you've been an admin manager somewhere, and then you're close to maybe the HR person in your former place, and you used to see how the person used to type, and maybe you're just 10 staff. So you open Excel sheet, you put their names, how much salary, you put it, month end, you just put total, you send it to, is that how payroll is done? Is that how payroll is done? Is that how it's calculated? So again, when people are not ready, don't start. You can say, okay, among all of these, which one is most important on the job? Pick social media management. Hire a social media manager. The expertise. You can randomly get part-time someone who just wants to help you with SEO. one time let the person just go. It's just something that you need to renew maybe monthly or through every quarter.
Yeah.
So it's about understanding the dynamics. That's why as a CEO too, you need to get a lot of learnings here and there. But some of these jobs are not intertwined. In some cases, when an HR person gets to a senior level, you might be in charge of HR and administration. They can relate because both of these things work together. In some cases, even HSCs, health and safety, they also report to the HR person, but it will be at a very senior level. But hiring one person to do 5 people jobs is bad. It's the same way we mix up saying sales. A sales manager is also a marketing manager. A marketing manager in charge of brand communications is totally different from a sales manager.
Exactly.
Then a BD manager is supposed to have a mixture of both, and then more of strategy and innovation. These things are different for that. So if an HR person does not know it, how do you expect them to come forward and advise?
Dan, I'm going to ask you a question. So in a company that lacks an HR practitioner, what's the solution?
The solution is, if you lack a HR practitioner, you need to hire one.
I don't think that's a company for starters.
Why you need one is because you're only going to be putting the load on somebody who you employed to do something else. Most times it's the operations manager.
Yes, operation manager,
who is being used.
Yes.
As the HR person. And that operations manager may not have the knowledge on how to manage the staff members.
They start screaming all over the place.
And that's because the operations manager's job mainly is to know what happens in the organization, the activities that go on a daily basis. The operations manager is going to check how much is being made that day, how much is to be made the next day, an evaluation of it. It's still going to plan for what is going to be bought, the diesel, the petrol, whatever it is going to be happening to make sure it functions. Exactly. And that operations manager still has to now check employees to ensure they are okay on a daily basis. That's going to be too much for him. So that is why it's always important to have somebody who checks the well-being of employees on a daily basis. If this person is coming late, are you checking what's going on with the person? Is this something that is going on at home? Is it family struggle? Are you checking to ensure that the person, before they get to work, they are mentally stable? Exactly.
So this is it. I think that as an operational manager, it's also very important to understand people management process, because you have human beings working for you. A team is made up of humans. You no matter how good you are as an operation guy, you can't achieve anything without a talented workforce. I say this everywhere. You can't. So you need to have an idea of what's going on with your people. Connect to them. However, I think we're still undermining the importance of an HR person. Forget the introduction of AI and the likes. I'll bust your mind. So a friend and I were talking a few days ago, and she just learned something about AI. She told me to come on that training, but I think I had other things to do. And so guess what? She was trying to test what she learned on WhatsApp. AI responded to a couple of people. The AI was fighting with a supposed client, fought with the customer, was even telling the customer, you were not supposed to ask me. So my point exactly, bringing this back, not to digress too much, is that you still need that human figure. The HR person is not just managing people or just welfare. No. The analytics guiding HR. What Daniel just described is called employee engagement. You see some people underproducing, under yielding at work. And you just start shouting and screaming all over the place because, of course, your operation manager is not an HR person now and don't know how to go about these things. They just think that when they're frustrated as well, they need to yell and scream. So when they do this, the employee is also losing their mind and going crazy, right? So now I've been in situations where we consult for people and you get there. And while talking to people, you can't, if you call me to come and work for you and say, I want to train my people on customer service, I'll tell you no. Let me meet with the team. Let me talk to them. I know what they need.
Exactly.
For I've seen a case where the guy just said, Ma, can I get a hug?
Wow.
That's all they need. The guy just, he was so overwhelmed. This is the first time somebody is genuinely asking how are you really? So it takes somebody who is trained properly in human resource management to understand what employee engagement is, methodology and approaches to getting this sorted. if you discover that what this person needs is training, let's take a bit of performance management. You've done appraisals because already there are KPIs apart from the job description, and then you've said these are the expectations in the first 3 months. How have you done? Then you do that. You see that this person is not performing.
What are the challenges?
Yes, you don't just... Some managers will even bring your problem forward. They will not tell you anything that's going on with you. They tell you on the appraisal, like, God, don't catch you. No. So an HR person's job is even to question and manage your manager.
Yes.
So the HR person will advise you that, okay, this is the situation. Do you think this person can perform at all? Do you think they need help? An HR person will know how to go about it. Worst case scenario, you put them on IDP, individual development plan.
Word.
If you don't go to school to learn this, you can't know this, by the way. So when you do this, they would know that, okay, this person only needs a little push. It's a 3-month period where you put the person on all kinds of learning and development strategies, trainings here and there, workshops, so that they can pick up their, themselves again and, get better. However, after that 3 months, you're doing an assessment every other month to know how they're doing. It could just be a skill as little as a Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
It could even be how to, handle presentation slides and all of that, and their work involves that. If they still don't do better, there's something we call performance improvement plan. Another 3 months. After which,
and this is what you don't get in Nigeria most times.
When this person has finally showed that, I can't learn. I'm not teachable. I'm not coachable. And then they have this behavioral pattern that's so terrible. And then the culture is not a culture fit for the organization. By the way, most companies don't have a culture, by the way. So that's when you now say, be like, say this person has to leave, right? Yeah. You don't just even send them away. You still have a conversation that we've done this with you, are there problems? It takes not an operation manager, a people's operation manager, an HR personnel, an employee advocate to understand and say, like say your matter don't tire management. How we won't do this matter like this.
Yeah.
You as a staff too, we now know, I've seen many cases where a woman is going through spousal abuse and you're shouting and screaming at them, on the job. All you needed to do was just get down to them. You can talk to me, what's going on? Yeah. And that's all you need. So if you're not an HR person, you can't understand. When it comes to career pathing, salary grading, growth pattern on the job, an operation manager cannot do that because it's not their job. They are busy with, profit and loss analysis. They are busy with running the operation. That's their job. It's just that partly they need to be interested in the people that are there. It's a different ballgame altogether. But it's the job of the HR person to organize this step by step so that you know that your people are not just working, they're growing alongside. So these are very important tips.
Okay. I feel like I'm being coached also.
So like you will pay me because this is
you are dropping things.
Consulting small.
That's the prof.
That is the prof, definitely. We go on another break, guys. Join us right after this.
Find great choices of automotives on the Urban Fleet app. Get it on your Google Play Store and iOS stores, or visit www.urbanfleet.biz.
Still joined by Dr. K and Daniel. So we're going to dive into the future of work. COVID came and everyone was doing the hybrid thingy. And we see employers who say, no, now you guys need to resume fully. You need to work 5 times a week or sometimes 6 times a week. Because I know that there was a particular company I met, Daniel, and I think you guys practically work 7 times a week.
Yeah. So Monday to Sunday.
Mondays to Sundays, exactly. So I'll take it this way. How do you measure the effectiveness of a staff? Because some people feel it's until they see you within the 4 walls of the office on a laptop when you could easily just be on WhatsApp web. So how does that work?
Many persons, I'll just say many persons, so try to decode, or should I say encrypt the message. Many persons would have the assumption that you must be physically present for you to be fruitful, the word fruitful, or productive.
Multiply.
But the point is, being productive is not just in physicality, like being physically there, but is in actually delivering on the KPIs. That's why I keep using the word KPIs because it's an agreement already that I'll be able to meet with this. Yeah. And if I say I can meet with this in this particular location, I should be allowed to do that. As far as I meet up with the KPIs, that's been agreed to. So during the COVID we find ourselves, even during the COVID period, there was lots of insecurity, and people are being forced to work till 10 p.m., 11 p.m., which definitely even the manager has a car that will take her to her home, has a security that will take her to her home, but yet the staff do not have the access. They do not have the bus.
They will pay for your car.
They pay.
Another angle,
Let's not go there.
That's it all, by the way. But let's go.
But that's what you hear all the time. Management, we keep telling you stuff like we are looking towards it. We will do it. Like trying to, let's say, bribe their way through the hearts of staff. But at the end of it, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it becomes a normality that these things would never happen. And that is bad because the employees see these things. People are not daft. People are not stupid. You make promises to me the first month, second month, you're not doing it and you expect me to be loyal to you. No. So you can't expect employees to give in their best when all you do is steal from them. They are giving you everything. You're giving them promises, you're not giving it back to them. So you're only stealing from them. And they cannot be loyal to you. That is why you have employees who would even, there's some I know of somebody who is working in a company for going to 10 years. And it took over 10 years for them to increase the salary. After working and working, suffering.
That's right.
And this guy delivers millions of naira to the company. Every time.
I'm sorry, but why did he stay?
That's the point. The point that not everybody is good at, will I call it, doing the...
No. So there are different things there are different tweaks to this. I mean, I'll have to talk a lot because I think I'm the most experienced person here. So, I don't know if you have worked with someone who practically uses your emotional blackmail as a tool to get to you. I don't know if you've met chauvinists or narcissists. They find different ways to, they'll psychoanalyze you. They try to get your weak point. They will thrive on it and they will get into you. And there are not a lot of people who are self-motivated or who are strong-willed to say that this is what I want and I will do that. There are not a lot of people. But generally speaking, human behavior is different. And if you meet people, I mean, I do counseling a lot. I've met people who, just because the employer, even in marital relationships or serious erotic relationships, some people will make you feel like after me, there's no other person. You cannot do anything outside of here. You cannot be anything if you live here. You see, I've seen somebody who was telling me recently that a boss will practically say, since morning, you are typing like kindergarten. This is someone who has worked in the banks for different banks, for almost 10 years. And he finally switched job because the pay was better. He had more exposure to the island. I don't know what people see around Lake here, but he wanted to be on the island. And so suddenly his boss is saying he types like a kid. And this is a treasury guy who is very fantastic on his job. So people can get you to that point where you lose yourself. And when you're lost in that process, nothing can change that. I'm just trying to...
Okay, then we'll hold your frame of thoughts. We need to go on a break and we'll see you right after this.
All right.
The Tale Hub is proudly sponsored by Urban Fleet App, a platform where you can rent, list, and make good revenue on your vehicles.
Okay, before we went on that break, we're talking about the future of work. Hybrid, on-site, bosses saying resume 5 times a day or 5 times a week.
Or 7
times
days.
a week. Yeah, 7 days a week. So, yes, I said we're going to hold your thought. So just speak up from there.
So I think that we need to understand the shift in generation. So for people in my generation who think, it made a lot of sense because we did a survey after, COVID. And a lot of people feel that they lost their joy because they would rather want to meet with people, give people hugs, eat together and, collaborate physically. A lot of people prefer, that. And people, in their late 30s, 40s and all of that. I don't want to use a typical word that you people don't like to hear. But then now that we have late millennials and, Gen Zs, the expectations are a bit different and the way they work too is a lot different. Unfortunately too, the cons to it is that we also have a lot of them who are dysfunctional and have issues that require therapy, counseling and all of that. So mental health issues here and there. I don't like people. This is how I want to do my stuff. And also, there are a lot of issues here and there. So we cannot, remove or erase that part, But then, emphasis on having a proper culture. Do you trust your people? Do you trust your team? That's the first thing. Do you think they have delivered in the past? Do you think they can deliver? We just woke up one morning and then COVID happened. We didn't know. What if we were not ready? What if we didn't have a committed or dedicated team? Would we still be able to work? Now, there are some kind of job functions that require you to be on the job, like maybe facility management or project management. If you're going to set up stage, experiential marketing people, they have to be on site. But there are some jobs that really do not need your presence in the workspace. Let people work from the comfort of their homes. I tell you what, I know that a lot of teams too have messed up. Trust has become very hard. But the truth is, one thing that kills people quicker is stress. And guess what? We were talking about this earlier, Daniel and I, when we were coming here, and we're saying proximity to workplace is one of the things that you need to consider when you're getting a new job. You can't be held up in a downfall, your a bike has messed you up, you have argued on the road, and you finally get to work and then your boss is shouting at you. But with you working in the hybrid way, the other days allows you to think, it allows you for calmness, it allows you opportunity to do other things, which is normal. However, if you have doubt or you are unclear, again, this is where an HR person who knows his job comes in. Come up with processes. Come up with policies for that. When you have these things in place, I've done it with a former boss who just felt that people would not work. He had trust issues even in his life, so that's okay. But the question is, do you carry your team along? Or you just dish things to them? Do you discuss with them? So what I did was I came up with a process to support it. This is how it will work. Then a policy to back the process. When I did that, I now started calling teams in twos, in threes. This is what I'm trying to do. What do you think?
Communicating with them.
What do you think? And I said, no, I said, this guy says he doesn't want it because management thinks that you will not perform. There's a NEPA issue. You don't have a generator. You can't go get fuel. Internet, fluctuations. There are a lot of issues. How do you promise me that you will get the job done? And do you know that after a while, I converged everyone together and I said, this is the process. I started sending emails to like a newsletter, updating people on the pros, the cons, what to do, what not to do. And at the end of the day, I sent a form, like a letter, everybody signed to it, that if I, Daniel, this and that, do not do this. So we were on the same page. So this is called a process and there's a guideline. And on the tech part, we had a clocking time. We had how to clock out for break, how to clock back in, and how to clock out. This is a no-brainer. See, strategy. You sit down, you think outside the box. Don't do traditional or conventional things. So yes, can the hybrid system work? Yes, it has come to stay. Especially because people in the West are really buying into it and they're helping us. So don't, stigmatize people or stereotype people that, they can't do this. You need to communicate effectively and clearly and help them understand what you're trying to do. And then you can get there. It's that easy.
Thank you so much. So, Daniel, I'm going to go to our last question, definitely. And we're talking earlier on, and you have found yourself in this scenario. So, unequal pay practices. So, for instance, myself and Daniel have a job. Same job,
same role, job description.
Level.
Same level.
The pay is 220, for instance. I'm earning 220. And I find out that Daniel is earning 310,000. I seem to struggle with the understanding of or the discrepancy in the pay grade. Why does the management do that? Or why does the HR? If there's an HR person.
So I would say
why does the HR person?
The word is when you find yourself in such situations, it's utmost wickedness. Because
I think I've heard that word twice.
That's what it is.
It's wickedness because that is why there is what they call pay structure. Every particular position has a pay structure.
Yes.
Which means, and that pay structure
and that's
binds.
Understood by the HR
yes, person. And it binds with the organization. If a particular role, a front desk role, is for 100, 120, 150, it means That is it. It's static. Somebody cannot be earning higher than the other person. And why he does that is for transparency, to ensure that this person also understands why they are earning that amount and the other person does not feel uncomfortable. The moment I'm working and the next person who definitely is on the same row with me is earning higher becomes an issue.
And you're probably doing
more work.
So I think there's a tweak to this, right? So I'm going to tweak it a bit. If Daniel and I, we're supposed to get on the same job, same function, same title, and all of that. And of course, like he said, there's a pay attached to what role. So if you say 120 to 150,000 naira, so this is left open because it means management can't pay more than 150,000 for this role. However, the role is also good for 120,000 naira as an HR person will measure, right? That being said, where Daniel is coming from, it probably wasn't any more than 70,000. So 120,000 is a lot of money.
Daniel.
No, I mean, this is not personal. It has nothing to do with Daniel. So 120,000 might be a lot of money. So if I am coming from a place where I was already earning about 135, I would not take a 120. I would definitely be expecting
something
more.
higher.
Hence, I would even request for more than 150.
Yes, maybe 160,
180. And then someone now says, the HR person now says, if there is one, now says, oh, this is what we have,
as a pay grade.
So sometimes during phone conversations or interview, an HR person might just chip in to say, what's your salary expectation? That's not rude, really. It's just to see whether this person actually meets that criterion. That is, judging from the fact that maybe you've posted, salary is good or attractive, and then you've lured people back in. And so you can ask, but, asking people to bring back their pay slip and all of that, that's really not necessary. But it's nothing wrong with asking, that question. But the point now is, if in the course of the job, Daniel becomes such a performer, and is that good, there's nothing wrong. I have seen in, my line of work that people talk a lot of work. You'll be shocked that Daniel will hear that I earn so amount. So whether or not I have experience, Daniel will feel somewhat cheated. Another case scenario if I started with the company, maybe I'm a pioneer staff. And we're on the same role. It's only normal because I have grown that I am higher. So Daniel needs to now, give of himself to get. So these are small scenarios in favor of the management. However, it's a duty of the HR person to communicate this clearly. That when you grow, when you get to so the career pathing system now, So on the career pathing, you can enter as an associate. And the next level is analyst. And after analyst, maybe you become, depends on whatever grading system. You can be maybe manager 1, manager 2. So, but even within, you need to know as you're coming in, how many years or months do I have to stay as an entry level, executive before I become an associate? How long do I have to stay before I become an analyst? How long do I have to stay before I cross over to management? Now, don't get me wrong. The associate and the analyst, they're on the same cadre, but their pay structure is different. So you can see these are scenario basis. When you now see this, you can understand. Then again, it takes an HR person who is schooled and well read to know how this metrics works and then communicate clearly before people will now start doing inside gossip and say. But however, if the Daniel is doing what he's supposed to do, and the Daniel knows his worth, he has a right
to request
to come and say, okay, I even heard this. This person is collecting. You don't have to, avoid gossips. Gossip by management. Address the issue. That's why, HR people should allow people to come to them. They have to be approachable so that they can hear what's going on. They can hear feedback. In my place, I conduct surveys sometimes too, anonymously, so that you can know what the people are thinking. It is feedback mechanism. It helps the management to get on their toes, to know what to do right, what to avoid, pitfalls to avoid, especially when the boss is a control freak and someone who doesn't listen. So these are, ways to manage this kind of situation. But unequal pay is something that needs to be addressed. Nowadays, apart from whether, even now, person will do Yoruba, they work for bank.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not
so
about the
nowadays, it's about, okay, one thing is you're schooled, you're educated, you went to school, you went through the walls of university education. But then, what can you do?
Yeah.
Digital marketing skills are all over the place. What are the skills you have? Hands on the job, what can you do differently? So those are the things that people are buying. And then they're buying your expertise on the job, they're buying your knowledge gap, they're buying your time.
Exactly.
So it's no longer just about, you focusing on this. It's a bad trend that needs to be addressed so that people don't feel underutilized, cheated, and treated poorly. Because what happens is staff will now start having bad feeling. They'll be nursing grudges. They can express, and eventually you will lose. Yes, you will lose good staff. That's why you also see that some people still on the job because they'll be like, you don't deserve me. So looking at all these measures, there are things that can be curbed. There are things that can be managed. The power is in the hands of an HR person. So you cannot underestimate the power or effect of an HR person in a system.
I like your closing words there.
Beautiful.
She's
fire.
I need to just reiterate that for an organization that does not have an HR person, I think when you watch this, all that has gone down, you should sit back and ask yourself the tough questions and look for tactics to adopt moving forward.
Yes.
First off, an HR person is very important and very mandatory for the structure and the growth of your organization. There are so many topics that come with workplace menace. There's a toxic work culture. I mean, I'm sold into telling you that I want to have you again because I feel like such things that it's not exhaustive.
Yes, it's not.
There are so many other things that we can tackle. But today we're going to wrap up the conversation this way. And I was telling you earlier that I read something online where it said, everyone has the capacity to be a leader, but not everyone should be a leader. Not everybody wants to. So do not take someone in your organization and give them a leadership role. They may fail at it. So I'll end my words that way. My name is Faith. Till I come your way. Remember, the full episode drops on YouTube Sundays 4 p.m. WAT. It is bye for now.